I'm going to try to talk a little bit with my raspy voice. I apologize. I first of all want to thank you, Denise, for pulling all this together and giving us the opportunity to provide resources, information to everyone that's joining us today. I'm very grateful also for my colleague, Janelle. She manages all of the East Coast and I'm sure a lot more. She is going to help me out today by presenting the information on how to pass the CPA exam in 3 months. This is really meant for all of us to be here as a resource to everyone. So please feel free to submit your questions via chat. I'll be monitoring the chat and facilitating questions throughout. There's no need to wait until the end. If there's something that we can address during that slide in particular, happy to do that as well. Janelle, I'm going to pass the mic over to you. And again, thank you so much for covering me today with this presentation.
Anytime, Rosa, anytime. Well, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Janelle Briones Lopez. I'm the Business Development Manager for, as Rosa mentioned, for the East Coast, the Northeast in particular. So I'm happy to be here helping my colleague Rosa, and I really hope that we can share some really valuable information for you. So today's presentation is going to really focus on the current CPA exam and how to get you guys started past in 3 months, or even just a short amount of time, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. I know Denise mentioned the 2024 changes. That's right around the corner if you really think about it. So we want to try to avoid those. So today's presentation is going to focus on building a plan on getting the CPA exam done. And then of course, if you are interested in more information in 2024, I urge you to sign in. There's a QR code here on this the screen if you're interested in learning more information on this current CPA exam, building out the game plan, and of course, getting more info on 2024 evolution. Please feel free to sign into the presentation, as we do have a lot to share about 2024, especially on our website, our blog. And I know after today's presentation, Rosa will be in contact with you on those topics if you're interested in learning more. But like I said, today we're going to focus on getting a game plan in place to help you pass the CPA exam before the changes. Okay, so let me start off by just introducing the company to you, UWorld, Rogers CPA Review. So we've been around, well, UWorld has been around since 2003. We really started out by providing medical students with I guess like materials to study for their high stakes exams, the USMLE exam in particular. Our CEO, Dr. Chandra, has been, well, at the time he was studying for his USMLE exam, pretty much built out a study guide for himself that he found very successful. And then in turn, his colleagues, once they saw how successful he was on his exam, turned to him and said, "Hey, what are you doing to make a difference?" He saw pretty much a business opportunity there, and long story long, we've got UWorld. So we help candidates in medicine, in nursing, and pharmacy, and in the School of Business with CPA and CFA. Now on the CPA side of things, and altogether, we've helped over 2 million students prepare for their high stakes exams. Now in CPA, we have a 94% pass rate, and that's due to the quality of our course and the technology embedded in our program, which I will be focusing on a little later today, just to kind of give you some information on that. But we help our students pass up to 3 times faster with our SmartPath predictive technology and the great quality in our course. We're also considered an award-winning program. Some of the awards recently attributed to us include the 2021 American Business Award for Product Innovation. Again, that was specifically attributed to our SmartPath. And then we are also partnered with hundreds of firms across the United States. Here's a few highlighted in the Midwest area that you may find familiar. Well, we do work with you in case you're interested in studying with us to either build your firm directly or find a way to give you the best price possible if your firm does not currently offer CPA review. So we work with our candidates and our firm partners as well. So here's today's agenda. As I said, we're going to talk about getting exam ready. Then we're going to set your CPA exam game plan, like what you want to consider when you're building up that game plan, and talk about our efficient study techniques. So let's talk about why now, why 3 months, or in retrospect, 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months, a short period of time. You want to start before you start work. If you are currently a student and are thinking about taking the CPA exam, let's say you're graduating at the end of this semester, or you will be graduating at the end of next semester, May 2023, then a 3-month plan will get your CPA exam process done very, very quickly. You can start before you start work. If you have like your job lined up by the end of that year, the fall, you can complete all 4 parts before, during any kind of break that you normally have. That's about 3 months. Usually a summer is about that amount of time. The CPA exam is one of those things that you just have to get done, especially if you want to move on with your career, move on with your life. Many firms, especially in public accounting, require the CPA, especially if you're looking to get promoted, become a manager, become a partner. Eventually, you need your CPA license. So if you don't get your CPA exam done, then you won't have that the benefits that come with the license that follow. So you want to, and for a lot of candidates, it's a standstill. You're there. You can't move forward unless you get your CPA license. And plus you make yourself a little more competitive as well. If you haven't been hired yet, for example, you're a firm candidate, a candidate for a firm, a position will be more attractive if they are, one, on the process to getting their CPA exam done. 1 or 2 parts under their belt will look a little better on paper at the very least than a candidate that hasn't started yet. And if you are already a working professional, there is no more time to waste. You should get on it as soon as possible if you're looking at those promotional opportunities that you cannot get because you don't have the CPA exam yet. Take those and then really kind of run with it, really get excited and make a plan, as we're going to talk about today, to get it done. So how are we going to get exam ready? Let's talk about the 4 parts to just become familiar with the CPA exam. We have FAR, Financial Accounting Reporting, Auditing and Attestation, Regulation, and the BEC exam, Business Environment and Concept. Some of the topics that we normally cover on this exam, you can find if you're a current college student, in Intermediate 1, Intermediate 2, Advanced Accounting, Government, Nonprofit will be covered on the FAR exam. Auditing and Attestation covers topics like planning, internal controls, IT audit reports as well. Regulation covers about 55 to 85% of tax topics, like tax, ethics, and law as well. And Business Environment and Concept, which is the exam that will be going away at the end of 2023, is kind of like a catch-all exam since it covers many different topics across cost accounting and managerial accounting, internal control, IT, economics, etc. Each of the 4 parts is a 4-hour exam, and you must complete them within an 18-month period, though we did find out some recent information that may give you some extra time, but we're not going to focus on that right now. You want to get it done as soon as possible. So as you can see, building out a plan to make sure that they all get done in a timely manner can help you out. Since they're all 4 hours long, thinking about things like time management, the difficult concepts that you have to learn, and then procrastination, which is probably one of the biggest hurdles that everyone kind of oversees, or it's like an oversight. Because if you're here now, if you haven't started yet, then you've already fallen to be a victim of procrastination. And that's okay. It happens to everyone. We always try to avoid things that are scary or difficult. Understanding and learning a little bit about the structure of the exam, what content is being tested, can help demystify the exam in a way. So it's great that you're here. And again, we thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the blueprints. Why are they significant to the CPA exam? The blueprints are the content framework of the CPA exam. They were introduced by the AICPA about a few years ago, back in 2017. And they pretty much map out everything that will be testable on the CPA exam and the level of difficulty that it'll show up on the exam. So you see that skill bar there, that's based on the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. And so when you're looking at the blueprints, you'll look at the content that will be eligible to be tested and the representative task that can show up under that content, and then the level of difficulty that it'll come up on as part of the exam. So as you move from remembering and understanding over to evaluation, obviously the exam questions get harder or the topics get harder, and a candidate would have to have an increased amount of critical thinking skills to handle those higher level questions like that fall under analysis and evaluation. Just looking at the blueprints as well can kind of give you an idea of what topic will come up as what type of question. So for example, remembering and understanding type questions will almost surely be a multiple choice question. Doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. It just means it's one of those, you remember the information, you understand it, you can select it from a choice of A, B, C, or D. Application will have a little more higher, it could be a higher level multiple choice question or a lower level task-based simulation. And then analysis and evaluation are those more complex task-based simulations like document review simulations, for example, where candidates would require higher levels of critical thinking skills to answer the questions, analyze the additional exhibits that you need to read through and add, and so forth. So they're very helpful, as you can imagine, not just to candidates, but to review courses like ourselves, where we actually map all of our questions to the AICPA blueprints, because we believe that you should be studying at the level of difficulty that the topic will actually be coming out on the CPA exam. So you're not studying more or less than what you need, you're studying just right. And as the blueprints get updated, we're always updating our course to be the most updated information that reflects the current CPA exam. Now, because we're planning to sit for the CPA exam as soon as possible, we have a suggested CPA exam order to consider. Now, this is always up for debate, and depending on when you're actually going to be sitting for the CPA exam, this can go either way. So normally our exam order is, you start off with FAR because it's the most intense of the 4 exams. Now, intense, it doesn't mean that it's the hardest. It just means that it covers the most material and it'll take you the longest time compared to the other 3 exams. So I don't want to say it's the hard one, take FAR first. But it also, it's the, I want to say it's the exam that kind of covers, it sets the tone, I would say, to the other topics, and it kind of trickles down into other areas. So like, for example, you can cover certain topics that will then show up in auditing and reg in a different way. Then we would recommend audit or reg, depending on what you're choosing to focus on academically or professionally. Either way, either audit or regulation, and finally finishing off with BEC. Now, I do want to say, because the 2024 exam is coming up, if you're planning to start this process later on in 2023, this order may be different. You might want to start with BEC first, because that's the one that's going away, and et cetera. And the strategy would change. But if assuming that you're going to start right after today's call and you want to get the process done even before 2023, then yes, we would recommend starting off with FAR and following this exam order. Though, of course, we always recommend to do what you feel best, follow your gut. If you are strong in audit, if you're currently an auditor and you know all of your auditing stuff, go ahead and start with audit. And that way you have a good win and good momentum to continue on to the remaining 3 exams. But like I said, this is a good suggestion to consider time management, especially because it takes the longest time to study for FAR, and that way you'll kind of get through the exam in a timely manner, and leaving BEC, which is the least intense of the 4 exams, for last as an easier win. So I wouldn't sleep on BEC either. Now, let's set up your 3-month CPA exam game plan. So in theory, if you're going to be looking at a planner, what will I need to do to consider getting this exam done in 3 months' time? So here is your exam ready checklist. The first thing you need to do, even before you start, is to enroll in a CPA review course. Why? It'll give you the best chance of passing the CPA exam. And we don't say that lightly. A CPA review course, not just any review course. Of course, we're gonna suggest the UWorld course. But a review course is meant to get you ready for the exam. As I mentioned, we work directly with the AICPA to highlight the specific content that will be focused and featured on the CPA exam. So you're not wasting time studying materials that won't be tested on the exam. So it's to your advantage to invest into a CPA review course. You want to apply for your exam with the Board of Accountancy, get that application in and through, so that now you don't have to play the waiting game. Sometimes it could be really, really fast, or sometimes it could take 8 weeks. It depends on the board. Once you receive your notice to schedule from NASBA, you're able to schedule your exam via Prometric. So you have to go into the Prometric Center, check to see where you can sit for the exam, what dates are available. And then once you do that, we would recommend, if you are planning to follow the 3-month planner, to schedule all 4 exams after you receive your notice to schedule. And that way you have a goal and you have your time set to know exactly how long you're going to be studying for each and every one of these exams. And to give you an idea what 3 months looks like, I met this person. To give you an idea of what 3 months looks like, this is what it does. So far, because it covers the most material, will roughly take about a month, so 4 weeks of studying. And then depending on the section that you choose to focus on, either audit or regulation, you can see that you focus 3 weeks into audit and 3 weeks in reg, and then finally leaving BEC for the last exam. Again, this is, this can also be extended to 4 months, if anything, but I want to focus and share with you that this is what it looks like. And it is absolutely possible to pass all 4 parts in the 3-month time span. You have to focus and dedicate a lot of time, maybe not doing it while you're full-time working. But it's definitely a possible feat. Many people have done it. I've met many people who've done it in 3 months over the summer, even like a 2-week span, which is wild to me, but it happens and it is absolutely possible. So at this time, I want to actually show you what our 3-month planner looks like, just to kind of show you what the content is. So if you permit me 1 second. There you go. So this is what our 3-month planner looks like. So you can have an idea of how the content is separated. Now, here we start off with the FAR exam. So we have this is completely customizable too, if you're interested. But you start off with the FAR exam, and as you can see, the days are pretty much packed. With other plans, you can add on a day off here and there. But with the study planner that focuses on getting you done as soon as possible, it's obviously going to be more packed, more condensed, not many days off, a day of rest here and there, but your goal is to get done as soon as possible. So here we have the 4 weeks of FAR, and then we take the FAR exam. You take a break, you're done, you know your exam, you're confident that you passed the exam. Obviously, you won't know until you get the score release, but you immediately start on the next exam and you study the parts. So while you're studying in your study schedule, you also want to keep in mind using any kind of technology that your review course offers. So keeping you in track so that you spend more time in the areas that you're feeling weak in, as opposed to going from top to bottom without knowing if you're doing well or not. You're taking practice questions at the same time as reviewing the content. Taking the reg exam, you recover recover 1 day and get immediately started on audit. Again, it's a very condensed time frame. You have 1 day of break, and then you sit for the audit exam. Immediately start on BEC, and then you can have a party because you've passed. So that's how you sit for all 4 parts within that 3-month period. Of course, life happens. If you find that you missed a part here and there, that's okay. You just recover. You go back to the part, retake it again, and then you continue from there. But if we're thinking positive and we know that you're going to pass the first time around, this is what you would follow to get your exam done in that 3-month period. But of course, we know where everyone needs to be flexible and do what works best for them. So that's why planning ahead of time is essential to make sure you're building out the right plan for you. So now let's talk a little bit about maximizing your studying, your actual plan to get the time to study your material, because it's not just planning it out. That does take some time, and we do encourage you making a plan before you even get started on the studies. But maximizing that time and actually looking at what you need to do on a day-to-day basis is going to help you also be successful. So the first thing we would recommend is to set some goals for yourself. Set small, achievable goals, because if you set something too big, you're gonna set yourself up to fail, and you don't want to set yourself up to fail. You want to give yourself the confidence that you need to pass the CPA exam. So breaking them down to what are you going to do on an hourly basis, daily, or even weekly study goals, and what does that look like? The study guide is there to help you kind of figure out what you want to do. But of course, like we mentioned, they're customizable. So if you know that you can get a lot of it done on Monday, let's say spend 8 hours on Monday doing everything that you need to do, and then have more days off in between, that's completely up to you. So it's customizable in that way. And then as you go through the motions, you want to reevaluate and modify as needed, because if it's not working, depending on what your life is like at the time, you don't want to keep on the track that is not going to be successful for you. You want to reevaluate, maybe make some modifications, change up the goals, extend, or even, shorten as needed, and then start over or move on. I recommend setting a routine, knowing exactly, like I said, knowing exactly what you're doing on an hourly basis will help you keep on track with what we need to study. And then if your studies are falling behind, for example, then again, you can readjust. So this is an example of a routine. Obviously, everyone's routine is going to be different. So you can write it down and break it down however you want, and then follow through. So you wake up in the morning all the way to when you unwind and sleep at night. You can kind of figure out what you're doing in between study-wise. If you're working, for example, if you're studying in school, you're a full-time student, or finishing off your 150 credits, depending on what you're doing at the time, you can build a routine out for yourself. Getting a schedule, a planner is always really helpful for this. Or just using your technology. Oh, in the next slide, using time-saving technology and techniques. So we are living in a very amazing world right now where technology can pretty much think for us. So utilizing that technology, setting like timers for yourself to know when you should be doing or moving on to the next task, minimizing study times through targeted sessions, for example, is a great way to focus on areas that let's say you feel like it's not a strength for you, it's a weakness. You want to spend some more time, so you're targeting that area for better use. Spaced repetition system with flashcards. We do happen to have this in our course, but we didn't invent spaced repetition. It's been a technique, a very successful technique for a while. We just happen to have the technology in our course for it, but it's a proven technique as well. So definitely take advantage of things like that, and the technology that helps you get that done. And then, of course, making any moment a study moment by optimizing the mobile devices. If you guys are commuters, for example, I live in New York City, so everyone studies on the train or they're always on some sort of bus. But if you're a commuter, put in an audio of the lectures, and you can listen to the lectures as you go to, from point A to point B. If you're waiting online, for your coffee or your drinks or whatever you like, pull out your phone and do some flashcards, or do some problems or some multiple choice questions on your device, on your phone. Every moment is a study moment. And if you use technology the right way, it'll actually be an advantage instead of a hindrance. Now, when you're studying for the CPA exam, you know that you're going to undergo like a really tough time. So you want to make sure you build a support system. And this is probably the biggest advice that we always recommend. At least I definitely do for my candidates. And it's one of those advices that you don't really think about until you realize, like, I just miss my friends and I want to go to a party. So, you want to let your people know that this is an important task. I am about to sit for the CPA exam. I am not going to quit until I pass. So you're not going to see me for a while, and they're just going to have to be okay with that. Meaning, you want their support, you want their understanding, you want them to know that if you can't go out to a bar late Friday night, Saturday night for a few weeks, they're just going to have to not be mad at you. They're just going to have to be understanding and supportive. And that's going to help a lot, because if they're saying, come on, you can take a day off or two, when you know that you have a schedule, you know that you have a task to do, that's not going to help. So giving them that talk, family, friends, colleagues, for example, that's going to be really great to set that expectation, especially with family as well. Your family is going to help take on some chores, for example, or any task that you would need to do as a member of that family, as a productive member of that family that you may not be able to do because you want to spend that time studying, that's a conversation you want to have too. So building that support system is going to really help out and just kind of give you that cheerleading group that's going to help you get through the CPA exam. When you're studying with other people, finding a partner is really helpful, but you also want to find the right partner. It can't just be like your best friend also studying for the CPA exam. It has to be someone with the same drive that's going to push you as well as you will push them. You can meet them as often or as necessary as possible, virtually or physically. But I would always recommend it has to be someone that's studying obviously the same part as you. So it wouldn't make sense if you're studying with someone who's studying audit while you're studying regulation. If you're both studying FAR, you're both studying audit, then definitely make that happen. But these are some options. If you're a self-studier, you don't want to do that, great. But studies have shown that studying with other people and talking about the topics as you go through them has really helped people find success. Just in my personal life, my husband has mentioned that studying in a group versus studying by himself has helped him more than solo studying, just because you talk about the concept, especially something that's maybe confusing you here and there. It's a great way to focus on that, and it's a great way to stay motivated. Sometimes when you're on your own, it's easy to kind of get lost and be self-doubting, but if you're in a group with people who are just as motivated as you, then it's going to help you stay motivated and stay on track. So now technology can help, but it can also not help. So if you're going to use technology, use it only when you're studying. Use it only to help you on your task and your goals, like studying for the CPA exam. But if you're not going to be using it, put it away, disconnect from social media networks, and even install website blockers software if possible. If you know yourself, or you're just going to go online shopping, or you're going to watch YouTube or whatever that's not related to your exam, give yourself those blocking devices to help you focus. And then at the end of the day, you want to take care of yourself. You can't be a CPA if you're worn out and you're tired and you just are not happy about the process. So drink plenty of water, get some fresh air, schedule like an hour, maybe even a half hour, just a walk in the park, get exercise. Exercise is actually a great way to get the blood flowing. And has also been proven to be a good way to help retain information. A little exercise here and there, like a walk, doesn't have to be intense, can actually help you get better scores. So definitely look into that. And then of course, get as much sleep as possible. You won't be able to retain anything if you're running on 2 hours of sleep. So get as much sleep and exercise as possible, and water. And these are our advice to care for yourself while you're studying for the CPA exam. So let's review some of the points that we've gone over. We've talked about getting exam ready, getting to know the CPA exam, what you're up against. Now you know what your white whale is, how to tackle it, how to defeat it, how to get it past and move on with your life. We've talked about setting your plan. We've talked about figuring out what you're going to be doing during the time that you will be studying for the CPA exam. You want to know if you'll be working full-time, if you're going to be a full-time student or taking extra classes. You want to know if you're going to have the time to do the 3-month planner. And if so, what is going to be that breakdown? Getting the support system in place, like I said, is extremely, extremely important. And then, of course, you want to make use of every study moment as possible, even if you're out for a little walk and you've done disconnecting and you want to get back into the multiple choice questions. Be flexible with your technology. We have the mobile device app. Get your multiple choice questions in, quick quiz, while you're waiting online for your coffee, or whatever is your drink of choice. Now, I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about our course, just some highlights of what we can do and what makes the difference. So a lot of times when I am on campus and I interact with students, or I interact with candidates, I should say, the most popular question is, what's the difference between you and any other review course out there? And so I always bring it down to 2 things. And I mentioned these 2 items at the very beginning. It's our content and our technology. So I'm going to focus on a couple of things there, just those 2 things to really highlight the difference between our course. And then that way you can make an informed decision if you're interested in learning more. We have more information on our website, and Rosa will send you some information after today's presentation. And I know a few of you joined a little late. We have our QR code a little later if you want to sign in for the extra information. So like I said, the biggest difference is that we use active learning methodology to work on our content and write expert written quality questions and answer explanations across all of our content. We also have extraordinary instruction in our course, along with the technology that helps you not only study efficiently and effectively, but keeps you on track and know how to strategize while you're in the course, and flexible with our fully featured mobile app. So I want to start with our questions and then just kind of show you what we mean about that active learning methodology and what makes us different. And I want to stress too that when we're looking at these questions, they are pretty much unmatched. No other course has this level of detail in the course, and it has shown to be successful in all other areas of our UWorld products. So we know it is also going to be successful in our CPA exam products, and it has already shown very good feedback from our candidates. So the approach that we've taken with our questions is, like I said, an active learning methodology. It covers every kind of learning style that you can think of. It's visual learning, auditory learner, kinesthetic learner. Everyone studies in their own way, and many candidates do align themselves with visual learning. I myself am an auditory learner, so I know that sometimes retaining information from just listening to it can be a stronger way to take in that information, but others may consider themselves as visuals, for example. So we try to implement all those different types of learning styles into our questions and explanations. So in this example here, we have an illustration. So it could be a chart, a bar, it can be a graph, anything that can pretty much paint the picture of the topic that is being talked about in the question. So in this one, it's a FASB conceptual framework question. So here we're talking, so in this illustration, it talks about the 3 basic elements of financial statements, and it looks like the specific questions about assets. So it's going to focus on just the assets portion of this graph here. Then we go into an in-depth explanation. So what we do with our in-depth explanation is we go broad and then we go specific. And that's kind of the same structure on all of our explanations. We cover the broad topic. What are we talking about? What is the topic that's being questioned here on this multiple choice question? And then we talk about the correct answer and why that answer is correct, and why the other choices are incorrect. And sometimes when you go over why the incorrect choices are incorrect is where the learning happens, where the active learning happens, because now you thought it was the right answer, the choice that you made. Let's assume that you didn't get this right. You thought that this was the right answer. You go in and you learn why the correct answer is actually correct, but why your choice was incorrect. So now your brain is rewiring to not think that way anymore. And that's how active learning works. And then we also leave you with a key takeaway, with a quick summary of what we're going over in the explanation above, so that you can remember this information. And now all of this, again, with the technology, you can actually turn this into flashcards, which is amazing. So if you feel like this detailed explanation is still not enough, we also provide you with the references where it's covered in our lectures and textbook section at the very bottom there. So the way that we've structured our question and answer explanations is pretty much, like I said, unique to UWorld and has been unmatched as of now, right now. And we are the only course that can provide this level of detail and has been really successful with students, that some of our students even say that they don't need the lectures. We always recommend to go view the lectures, of course, because there's always some materials that, especially if you've been out of school for quite some time, you may not be familiar with anymore. So our lectures are always going to reflect the latest information that is being tested on the CPA exam. And you want to make sure you're covered on all of that, on all of those aspects. So with our content continued, we have amazing lectures with our lead instructor, Roger Phillip, who's been in the industry for over 25 years teaching to CPA exam. We provide helpful memory aids and mnemonics for those auditory learners. And we're in the lectures and in the textbook, we break down those concepts, those difficult concepts that are reflected on the AICPA blueprints I mentioned earlier, help you understand those concepts so that you can face them and pass them on the CPA exam. At the same time, we're always motivating you to pass. If you're not familiar with Roger Phillip, when you click on that free trial link that we're going to send you, you'll see how amazing he is. He's always very fun and active, and a lot of our candidates have loved his lectures for years and years and years. Now, I said that I was going to focus on two things, content and our technology. So the technology aspect I'm going to talk about today is our SmartPath predictive technology. SmartPath, ever since it's been introduced to our course, has helped our candidates really focus on the strengths and weaknesses the strengths and weaknesses, because when it comes to the CPA exam, as you may recall from earlier in today's presentation, there's a lot of material to cover across all 4 parts of the CPA exam. So if you really think about just everything that you may have learned across 3 or 4 years in university condensed into one exam. So obviously there are some areas where you may find it really, really easy, the topics, and then some areas where it's not going to be so easy. So SmartPath helps identify those areas and helps you focus on the weak areas and make them into strengths, and then bypassing the strong areas and not spending any more time than you need to by providing you the helpful score, target average score, and target number of questions so that you can know where you stand across all of the content. And that way you can study more efficiently and effectively across the time you spent in the course. So as a thank you for coming to today's presentation, and again, thank you for the MICPA for inviting us to present on the CPA exam today, we would like to extend this discount on our CPA review course for our Elite Unlimited course. The Elite Unlimited course is, as it suggests, unlimited access, and it does not expire. So that means if you purchase it today, then it'll be good all the way to 2024. So you don't have to worry about those changes. It also features our mobile app and the signature technology, not just SmartPath, but also the flashcard, spaced repetition, and of course the industry's best material. And probably the most important thing when you get an unlimited course is the free update. So you'll never have to worry about our course being outdated. We update our course every time there is something to be updated for, usually quarterly. So when 2024 comes around, you'll still have the most up-to-date information. And you can use this code Midwest 1499 to get that code. And Rosa will be sending it to you after today's presentation. For anyone who didn't get a chance to sign in, maybe you came in a little late or you didn't get a chance to take your phone out for the QR code, here it is. So you've got this, and we're all, of course, here to help. We do free advising sessions as well. So if you have any questions pertaining to your particular situation, you would like a one-on-one, please reach out to us. Rosa will take care of your needs and answer any questions that you would like answered. And so this is a service that we provide to make sure everyone's on track to complete their goals on the CPA exam. So this is the QR code. I hope you are able to get that done. And then that is it. And that's Rosa's information. She is your, for those who came a little late, she is your business development manager in the Midwest. So you will be able to contact her and she'll be happy to answer any questions. And of course, I know that the chat's been blowing up right now. So I hope you guys have any additional questions.